In this video, we're looking at changing the subject of a formula. So changing the subject of a formula follows the same principles as solving an algebraic equation. You need to know your inverse operations. You have times and divide, plus and minus, squaring and square rooting. All of these are what we call the inverse operations. All right, and we need to ultimately make a certain pronumeral or letter the subject of the formula. And what that means is to make it equal something. So in the first example, you can see make y the subject of each formula. What that means is we want a solution that is y equals something. So if I have m plus py equals k, I want to make it y equals something. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of that m. Now the m is separate from everything. It's not connected like the p and the y are. So what we do is we minus that m because the m was positive. So that cancels that out and I'm left over with py equals k take away m. The next thing I need to do is obviously split up the p and the y. I don't want them together. Now remember, py is the same as having p times y. So the opposite of times is divide. So we're going to divide everything by p. So on the left hand side, we have y equals k minus m, and it's all over p. And that is it, you're finished. You do not need a single number or a single letter. That is your goal there, to get y equals something, which we did. That's our solution. So we'll look at the next one. Now the first thing I want to do is times that 5. Let's get rid of that. So times 5 times 5. So I'm left with y plus 3 equals, now 4 times 5 is 20, so 20m over 3. The next thing I need to get rid of on the left hand side is that plus 3, so we're going to minus 3. So they cancel out and I'm left with y equals 20m over 3, take away 3. And that's it, we're done. So here are some actual formula that we might need to use, and we're changing the subject. So here we have a equals pi rl plus pi r squared. I want L as the subject. So the first thing I want to do is move the thing that doesn't contain the L. So what that means is I can move the pi r squared all together. That can move all together. So I'm going to move it over here. That cancels that out and I'm left with a minus pi r squared equals pi rl. The next thing to note is that, remember, this pi rl is really pi times r times l, but for this case I can actually just divide by what I want to move, which is the pi and the r, and do the same over here. That crosses those out and I'm left with a minus pi r squared all over pi r equals L. And if you want to be a little tidy, you want to rewrite it as L equals a minus pi r squared over pi r. Alright, we'll look at this one. Now we have x equals the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So we want the b to be the subject and it is inside that square root, so we need to get rid of it. So I'm going to square everything. That cancels that out. And I'm left with x squared equals b squared minus 4ac. I then want to get rid of the b squared. I don't need it there. It is a positive because it doesn't have a negative out the front. So I will minus b squared from both sides. That cancels that out. So x squared minus b squared equals minus or negative 4ac. The next thing I need to do is get rid of the 4 and the... Now I just noticed I actually want b, so to fix this up, I haven't done anything, I can actually fix this. Let's get rid of that x squared, so minus x squared minus x squared. I'm left with minus b squared equals minus x squared minus 4ac. And then what I'm going to do is remove that negative, and what happens is all the signs change. So essentially that all changes. So I get b squared equals x squared plus 4ac. Then I want to get rid of the 2, so we can square root everything. So even though I started off even trying to find a different letter as the subject, you can still recover it as long as you follow your baby steps and know your inverse operations to put everything back together. All right. So yes, I moved the b squared, and probably I could have left it, but instead, what I was able to do was get rid of the x squared, get rid of the negative, and continue on. So to end the video, remember, you need to remember all your inverse operations and take baby steps, one step at a time, so you don't make simple mistakes. And if you do make a little mistake like I did there, you start by doing the wrong thing, you can backtrack or do what I did and just start rearranging to get what I eventually wanted.